Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Who's Joe YouTube Edition.
Who's Joe?
Who the is Joe?
Who's Joe?
Who's Joe?
Who's Joe?
Yeah. Who is Joe?
Today I am here with Johnny Weaver, and why don't you go ahead and tell us a little about yourself, Johnny?
Hey, Joe. Thanks for having me on the show. I've been in esports for over 19 years, pretty much as a player from the Halo circuits from 02 to 15. I retired, but in between that, done everything from middle school, high school, college. I've done nonprofit with Extra Life, Special Olympics, and I also work, as you can tell behind me, for companies like DreamHack, UGC, MLG, etc. So, like I said, I've been at 19 years, over 1,800 events, and like I said, if it breathes esports, I'm around it. It's my passion. It's what I love, and that's why I'm glad to interact with people like you that pretty much share the same passion.
Oh, most definitely. And so what we've been doing is I'm going to ask the first interview question. I will count down to the staring contest.
I'm ready.
And we will start the staring contest when you start answering the first question. So if you could collaborate with anybody in the world, who would you collaborate with? And I will count down now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
That would probably be Mark Cuban because of how his atmosphere in the esports world ranges. He is so familiar with all the different areas that there is out there, from, like I said, college basketball to the Shark Tank. He's just a smart man. And I mean, he'd be great because, like I said, he loves the passion, he loves the people, and that's what esports is.
Oh, most definitely. And having been around esports as long as you have been, if there's one misconception about professional gaming that you would like to address, what misconception would that be?
The misconception is a lot of people think nerds are usually out of shape, they're fat, blah, blah, blah. There is so many different types of people out there that love gaming, from athletic people to those that might have special needs or disabilities. There's so many great people involved, and a lot of people don't understand that. They think, oh, well, you're behind a keyboard, you're behind a mouse, you're pushing buttons. You just don't have a life. You live in your mama's basement. That's what we try to show them. Hey, this is a sport. There is more behind this than what meets the eye, and we want to get that to a knowledge basement out there.
Is it okay for me to call you out for blinking?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, my eyes were burning. I was like, I can't do it. My eyes are burning.
You did a really good job. You actually lasted longer than most people do, so kudos on that.
Thank you.
So we met on the new social media app, Clubhouse.
Yes.
What do you think about Clubhouse, and what kind of impact do you think that it could eventually end up having on esports?
So, like I said, I've been on it. I've been in about, I think, 4 or 5 different rooms now, talking with different people. I love it because you can network with so many atmospheres that are out there. Like, I've heard like these Fortune 500 people, these guys that are millionaires that live in different countries, saying, "Oh yeah, I invested in this, invested in that," and hearing why. And it's like, well, have you thought about this? Or like, no, I haven't. Let me connect. Just like me and you, we were BSing one day back and forth, and we're like, hey, let's connect. We're going to do this. So with how it is, it allows anybody from a small person to a big person to realize that gap in there. Because normally, if you're higher up on the food chain, you don't look at the little people. You don't even know who they are. But this brings everybody together that has some part of it. So I can see it economically and networking abilities to help everything and anything.
That makes perfect sense. So was there a specific gamer when you were getting into professional gaming that was an inspiration to you?
It was actually, yes. So back on the Halo days, it was the Ogre Twins, and then there was also Walshy. Pretty much all guys of Final Boss. Just watching their gameplay, seeing how they dominate the competition. It's kind of like, pretty much I wanted to be like them. It's like I want to be like Michael Jordan when I grow up. So watching them and understanding how they did it, brought a lot to me. Just like earlier, me and the guys were talking about the Call of Duty League that's going on right now. We're like, hey, we should watch this to review films. Hey, let's try this area. Hey, I haven't thought about that. So seeing people like that and learning, it puts a foot forward.
I could understand that. Do you, I know you've put on a lot of events. I know you've put on a lot of tournaments and things like that. Of everything that you put together, do you have like a favorite pro gaming memory?
Yes, actually I do. It was actually 2 years ago. I got on by a company called Gamers Outreach. They usually do charity events. And so it was my first time with them. We were doing a Halo 1 plus a bunch of other ones, flown up to Michigan. We raised over $637,000 in 2 days for kids that are sick with stuff that can't come out to game, to build them gaming go-karts to be at their bed station. That's been the best thing I've done so far.
That's awesome. I know I usually say it before this point, but at this point I will try to go the rest of the interview without blinking as well. So, obviously, the esports genre, in terms of what games are being played, is incredibly wide. What kinds of games do you really think get the most traction in the esports arena?
It usually depends because, like I said, there's first-person shooters, there's rocket, there's fighters. Each one has their own niche. So I would say fighters, of course, is going to be Smash or Mortal Kombat, depending on your system. First-person shooters, I would say between Overwatch and Call of Duty are going to be those top, with CSGO in the mix too, because CSGO is mainly just C. And then of course Rocket League is this beast its own, same as League of Legends. So those are your top ones that I would consider to have the most traction the most. That's
awesome. One thing I've noticed is that it seems like esports is a lot larger in the Asian communities than it is here. What kind of avenue or what needs to be done for it to be as large here as it is overseas?
Well, a lot of the people overseas in other countries, they all can't afford like a giant PC rig, or they can't afford an Xbox. So having these gaming lounges or even playing on your phone, like playing COD Mobile or PUBG, is a smaller thing to do to go have as much fun as you want. I mean, we've seen pictures of kids in Singapore playing and the water is up to their knees on milk crates because they're just having fun. But to bring the same caliber here is you need to have an infrastructure of, all right, yes, we can sit here and game, but now we can also socialize with food, drinks. We can watch sports at the same time. So you want to make it like a giant Starbucks in a way, but with gaming involved. So you want all those atmospheres to bring everybody together. Because if not, I can sit over here and play Xbox just like you can, at home. So why do I want to go somewhere else? So now having all these entities together is going to bring like a giant family community with it.
That makes sense. So say somebody like Mark Cuban came to you, gave you a black credit card, said, put on an event for me. You can put it anywhere you want, any venue you want. What would you do and where?
Oh, man. I mean, any location would be great. Two things would be in my mind, like say a castle in Ireland, that would be really kick ass, or even somewhere in like Sydney, Australia, down yonder, just where they do all their awesome concerts and whatnot. An international place that has beautiful scenery, but can also feed the communion of people that, of course, it's going to be affordable, would be amazing. Because if you want to do something great, you want to make sure the atmosphere is awesome. You want to make sure there's a lot of different venues inside for the non-sweaty gamers. I'm going to go play virtual reality. Oh, there's the Deadmau5 concert over here. Let them have everything. It's like a state fair in a way, but it's in its own gaming area.
That's an awesome idea. So, you've got a business. Tell us a little about your business.
So Click Gaming, which you can find at clickgaming.gg, that's been everything, like I said, from grassroots here in Oklahoma to we've been contracted out of state. Basically, we put on a lot of in-house tournaments before COVID hit, and now we're online with a lot of free to enter. So let's just say if you want to get into a competitive game, but you don't want to pay $40, $50 to enter into something that you're probably not going to win, we have free to enter. You're going to win like 10 or 20, even up to $100, but it allows the casual gamers to get transitioned into an AM and lets the high guys come down as well to play and just have fun and be. And that's what it is. We give back, we do production, we do ads, everything just to make it feel like you're an event, but also awards you for being.
So back when I first started getting into pro gaming, it was back in the very beginning, like your Quake 2 days, your StarCraft 2. And the god of gaming back then was Thresh Fong. And basically the reason he was such a god was that he could basically analyze how a player played as he was playing them and modify his play style to match what they were doing. Do you think there is an equivalent in the modern pro gaming landscape to what Thresh was able to do back then?
Yes and no. It depends on the player. I myself, whenever I coach kids, I tell them the same thing. They're like, "Oh, why'd I lose?" I was like, "Think of this: when you take somebody on, what would you do if you're taking yourself on?" So try to outthink the player, or like you said, watch their patterns. Because if you're playing the same game mode, if there's a certain spot they like to go or a certain gun they like to run, they're going to keep doing it. And if you can get them flustered, they're going to try something new. And if they don't have a backup plan, you're just going to dominate them. So just get in their head. It's just like war. And so you always want to know what your enemy is up to before they get 2 feet ahead of you.
And back then, Death Row was basically like the dream team of pro gaming. Do you think there is a team out there now that has the star power that they did, whether it's 100 Thieves or one of those groups? Do you think there's somebody here that, I mean, obviously you have to scale a bit for expectations, but...
Right. It depends on the game. So, for instance, Dallas Fuel for Overwatch, they're a solid thing. Same as the Dallas Empire for Call of Duty. So it depends. But also now with how they have the leagues, there's roster changes left and right where it's like NBA. All right, I'm going to draft Shaquille O'Neal from the Lakers to, the Miami Heat all of a sudden. So you can do the same thing. So you can build a dream team like that. But to have the caliber like they had back in the day, that was just friends coming together saying, hey, let's kick some ass. And then they continue to kick some ass. And they didn't, if they lost, well, we're not mad. We're going to keep grinding. You don't see that a lot. And that's why I like the team that I play with, because we've been playing since literally 07 back in Halo days. And no matter how much high or lows we get, we chalk it up, we'll have a barbecue, drink it out, and have fun.
So if you could say anything about what you're doing with your business currently and where you'd like to take it in the next 5 years, what would that be?
Honestly, what I would like to do with the company that we have right now is I want to get to the same level as, like, say, DreamHack, MLG, UGC. I want to get that big body factor of giving out to as much gaming as I can. In the same time, I also want to get our production up to that level. We've added a lot since we started in May, but no one's ever perfect. And my theory is the moment you think that your crap doesn't stink is the moment you're going to go down, because you always. So my thing is always hustle, always grind, no matter how many ups and downs you have. And if you're wondering why you're failing, look at the people that are doing great. I wouldn't say mimic them, but take ideas off them and create your own version to continue the greatness.
And I guess I have one more question is for the new gamers coming up, when they're trying to decide what games they should specialize in, should they just go for like a game that they really like, or should they like chase the trends to know what's popular, what's going to have a better chance of having contests and a better chance of getting them exposure?
Well, I know for instance, let's say if you're a first-person shooter, there's a lot of titles out there. That doesn't mean you're going to be great at every one of them. So honestly, I would try to find a game that you are great at, that you can smack the competition. But at the same time, you can follow that trend and be like, this one, like say, for instance, let's say Team Fortress, you're amazing at it. No one really plays it. But then there's Call of Duty, which is the big boys that appear. You might do good at it, but if you can set your name and your bar on something and get your fan base to grow to it, they're going to follow you into something new instead of being a little guppy in a big shark pond new off the bat, because then no one's going to know who you are.
Well, I think we've got enough to go off right now, and we've reached the point where I'm going to get you to say I was not able to beat Joe in a staring contest.
I got you. Yeah, I Johnny Weaver was not able to beat Joe in a staring contest. This man is a beast, and I've been watching him over here, and he's like a Hawkeye on you.
Yeah, I've gone about 16 minutes right now. Right at about 16 minutes.
Nice.
So if you could call out anybody else to sit on the other side and be in a staring contest with me, who would that be?
It would probably be a gentleman that I work for at Game Gym. His name is Josh Hafklin. I love him to death, and I bet he might give you a run for his money, and I can get you his contact information after we're out.
Awesome. Yeah, a lot of people say that the person they're calling out might be able to give me a run for my money, but I am now 22-0.
There you go.
Well, what do you got going on? What do you got to talk about? What do you have to plug?
Basically, like I said, just, if you guys want to get into esports, follow us. Like I said, look at you for Joe, because like I said, you can create great content. Come over to clickgaming.gg. We can teach you the ropes and maybe even get you in behind the scenes if you want to learn stuff. We're always looking for internships just to help you grow. It doesn't matter if you're 8 or 80. If you want to get in esports, we're here.
Well, I'm going to put all of your information in the video description, your website, your Twitter, anything you want linked in there. I'll put it down there. But that's going to be it for this episode of Who's Joe YouTube Edition. If you haven't already liked the video, go ahead and do that. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. And one thing I realized with this GoPro is that I've been doing this backwards because it mirrors it. But so there's going to be a video down here at the left, although I'm pointing to my right now.
Right.
I have recommended, and a video down here on the right that YouTube has recommended. Watch one of them, watch both of them. Go follow Johnny on all of his social media platforms and see his webpage, and we will see you the next time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, Joe, as always, brother.